But I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Hey, there he is. How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand or what?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you okay?
I'm having a stroke.
Your face looks weird too.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you having a seizure or something?
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear.
I'm having a stroke.
You just need to know the sudden signs. Look for FAST, F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. Or S, speech difficulty. Then T, time. Time to call 911 immediately, because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Know the sudden signs. Face, arm, speech, time. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a new show of the Cross Island Podcast. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Lyle Gillian. As everybody knows, you can listen to us every single Monday, ladies and gentlemen, at 7 p.m., as we will get into all the top stories in New York sports. We're very happy to be here. Lyle, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Doing well. I do right before we get into the show, I do have a huge announcement. Our first ever guest is going to be on November 6th with Johnny Lazarus from the NHL Network, Hockey News, and BR Open Ice, and he has the Blue Crew podcast to talk New York Rangers hockey. That is November 6th, so make sure you tune in to hear Johnny Lazarus talk Rangers hockey.
Well, we're very excited to have him on the show, and we're going to get into a lot tonight. We have an hour to get into it, so why don't we get into it? We're going to get into the New York Giants, big confidence booster, and obviously going against the New York Jets this coming week, so we'll get into that. The Nets and Knicks season preview, the Islanders and Rangers weekly updates, as we will get into all those stories for the next hour. So why don't we get into it? The New York Giants obviously played a fantastic game against the Washington Commanders. And really what stood out to me this past week is the Giants were working on all cylinders. They had a ton of offense from Darren Waller, who had a fantastic game, one of his better games as a New York Giant. And then Saquon Barkley, he showed up again, and he opened up the offense for the wide receivers and the tight ends in this game. And again, the Commanders are not a good team. They're not. And they've won some pretty close games this year, and they've been a confident team defensively, and with Eric Bieniemy, obviously the offense has really picked up over the last couple of weeks, and maybe they found themselves a quarterback. But what I saw with the Giants, Lyle, was a great offensive plan by Dable, and they connected in every single facets of the game.
Honestly, I thought that Tyrod Taylor ran the offense much better. And I don't know if that's just because he's more of a veteran and he has more poise. And I think also one thing about him is I think he's quicker than Daniel Jones. And with that very, very, very bad offensive line from all the injuries they have right now, he can scramble and get out of the way and create more plays and make things more happen. And I think you saw that a lot, and they did a very good job. They only had 14 points, but Commanders do have a solid defense, and I thought they played well.
The thing, and you keep saying Tyrod Taylor's, he's faster and more talented.
I do think so, yeah.
Daniel Jones. I do not believe that. I think Daniel Jones is a better quarterback. The problem right now with Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones didn't have Saquon Barkley for the last couple of weeks. Saquon Barkley opens up the offense completely. If you look at it, he ran the ball 21 times, 77 yards, averaged 3.7 a touch. That's something that you expect a running back to average every single week. And yes, Tyrod Taylor ran the ball pretty well too. I mean, he had eight rushes for 25 yards and 3.1 a carry. But I think Daniel Jones is a better, more. Here's the thing. Tyrod Taylor might be faster, but in gameplay, I think, to me, Daniel Jones is a better and more faster quarterback and much more accurate. The thing is, losing Saquon Barkley for a significant amount of time affected him. And I think now that Saquon Barkley's back, when Daniel Jones is healthy and he's ready to come back, you're going to see a completely different Giants offense. And I expect to see Daniel Jones back this coming week against the New York Jets.
I don't think they'll be any way more improved. If you're going to tell me that a team that has 5 of their offensive line starters going against one of the best defensive lines in the NFL he's going to have an improved game, I don't think so at all. I think they're going to have another game where they don't score a touchdown and they really struggle. They had the first 2 touchdowns they have since week 3 this week, and it's not a coincidence that Daniel Jones did not start.
Well, first of all, Daniel Jones didn't start because he's not healthy.
I know. I'm saying that it was not a coincidence that they did that. In the week, he did not play.
Well, I don't think it had anything to do with why they wanted Tyrod Taylor to play, and that's why they just said that he was unhealthy. He was not healthy. He has not been healthy. They want to make sure that he's 100%. Remember, they're paying him $40 million this year and $40 million next year.
Contract.
So they're invested into him. They're really not invested into Tyrod Taylor.
No, they're not.
He did sign a 2 or 3 year extension, but he's not making a lot of money. I think he's making between $3 and $5 million. He's not making a ton of money. And again, Tyrod Taylor's a good backup, but he is not a quarterback that you're going to depend on that's going to squeak you into the playoffs. If they're going to win, if they're going to squeak into the playoffs, especially in that conference, they're going to need Daniel Jones. And I think Saquon Barkley is the key to this team. I really do believe it. If Saquon Barkley is the same Saquon Barkley he was last year, I think the Giants are going to have a very good chance to possibly sneak into the playoffs because the NFC is not that talented. They're really not. Tampa is playing good football. They lost this coming week. And obviously, you saw the Bears win this week, which I was very surprised. So they have 2 wins. So the Giants need to figure things out very soon if they expect to make the playoffs. And Minnesota is a crappy team. Green Bay is really not that good. Okay. There are a lot of bad teams in the conference. So if the Giants could go on a winning streak, if they can knock off the Jets this coming week and get their 3rd win, yeah, the Giants could absolutely sneak into the playoffs because Washington stinks. We don't know what the Cowboys are in the secondary. So I thought the Giants played very, very well, even though it wasn't a high-scoring game. They only won the game 14-7, but we saw a lot of interesting things, and obviously the offense opened up with Darren Waller. 7 receptions, 98 yards. If Darren Waller could be this dominant and be this creative in the offense, yeah, I think the Giants could be very dangerous against the New York Jets. And as good as the Jets defense is, we don't know if DJ Reed's going to be 100%. We don't know if Sauce Gardner is going to be 100%. And we don't know what this secondary. Now, yes, they played very well against the Eagles this last week, and they dominated the line of scrimmage. But the Giants have always figured things out against the New York Jets when they match up against them every 4 years. So even though you would think that the Jets are the better team, not always does the better team win.
No, that's very true. But however, I want to make one thing, and it really annoys me about the whole Sauce Gardner injury thing, because we found out at the last minute that he had a concussion and he couldn't play. First, it was supposed to be an illness, and he was going to play, and then it was the next day, it was, oh, he has a concussion, and he can't play. Well, we had the bye this week, and we all assumed him and Reed would be all good to go.
Mm-hmm.
However, this weekend was TwitchCon, and Sauce Gardner was in Vegas for TwitchCon. If you have a concussion, you shouldn't be flying. Why are you flying with a concussion? Something about this does not smell right to me. That he's able and cleared by the team to go and fly, but he can't get cleared for concussion protocol. Something's not right here. Something is missing. Now going back to what you said about Daniel Jones, I do agree that if he's playing at his best, he gives them a better chance to win. But I think right now, and how he has been playing, he does not. He has similar issues that Zach Wilson has had in the past, where he locks onto his targets, and that's not good for a quarterback. Tyrod Taylor is more of a veteran. He has more experience, and like I said, he's quicker with his feet. What I like about that right now over Daniel Jones is that he can extend plays more, and we saw that over the weekend. We saw him do things that Daniel Jones was struggling with, and I don't think that Daniel Jones right now is going to be doing better. Maybe he needs the week off, and that was a blessing in disguise, and that'll help refresh his mind a little bit. But I don't think the way he's been playing, he's going to be able to come in, regardless of Saquon Barkley, because he had him the week before, and they couldn't do shit. So I don't think him having him there, or right now with this offensive line, and really the lack of targets for him, I don't think he's going to be able to do much better than he did before.
I do. And I think the fact that Daniel Jones could give them a different style of game, and he's more accurate than Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor played very well against the Commanders. Their defense is very good. He looked really, really good. And I know when you look at the Giants right now and coming off a win, you would think that they would start Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor is a backup quarterback. He's not a starting quarterback. And the fact is,
I agree.
They have a quarterback in Daniel Jones that could win games. And Daniel Jones has won big games before. He took him all the way into the second round of the playoffs last year against an Eagles team that was just that much better than they were. So I do believe that the Giants could win. Saquon Barkley is the most important piece to this offense. If they're going to win, and this defense is going to have to play like they played against the Commanders. Sam Howell has been pretty accurate as a quarterback since he's taking over the starting job. He had no touchdowns this past week. He threw no touchdowns. He had 22 completions and obviously 42 attempts for 249 yards. He made some deep throws. He made some good throws in the game, and obviously you could see it because Terry McLaurin was a big factor in the game, and the Giants could not stop a guy like Terry McLaurin. And they're going to have problems against Garrett Wilson. And the reason why is Garrett Wilson is a great route runner, one of the better route runners in the league. So it's going to be hard to defend against him. And I don't think they have a true number one corner right now. They think Banks could be that guy in the future, but right now he isn't. So they're going into a game where they're the home team, obviously, and they have a chance, being that it's going to be their crowd. It's going to be very loud over there. And Giant fans are very rowdy, and they want to see. And by the way, it seems like every single time the Giants meet the Jets in the regular season, even if the Jets are looked at as a better team, they find a way to win those games. So it's not a sure thing for the Jets. A lot of Jet fans would think that this is going to be a sure thing. And the one reason why it's not going to be a sure thing, it's because you have a guy like Zach Wilson, who I do not trust in this game. He's had problems against teams that can dominate the middle of the field defensively. And they have a very good guy, a very good defensive tackle in Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence causes havoc in the middle. And if he puts pressure on the middle, because I don't trust McGovern, and I don't know if McGovern is going to be able to stop a guy like Dexter Lawrence. And that's going to be the problem with the New York Jets, because if the Giants and Wink Martindale could scheme up blitz packages to get to him, he's going to run backwards, he's going to force passes, and he's going to put himself in harm's way.
Now, do you think that there's a chance they start, or they have, if he's healthy? Because Salah said that Tippmann has been healing very well, but he's going to wait till Wednesday to really give an update on the injuries. Do you think if he's able to play, that they could try putting him at center?
They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that in the middle of the season. McGovern is their starting center, and they've made that decision. They moved him to guard, and that's where they would squeeze him in. He would be the guard, and he would be right next to the right tackle, because right now, as we've seen, Tomlinson and Becton have looked really, really good together. And to me, that's been their strong side. Losing Elijah Vera-Tucker has hurt the Jets, but the Jets are still giving Zach Wilson 4.5 seconds to throw the ball, which is more than average in the NFL. So if he's getting 4.5 seconds, he should be completing passes. I still worry, because I think the Giants are going to be able to put pressure. Wink Martindale is going to draw up a lot of blitz packages, bringing up safeties. We've seen it. Simmons is a good guy that could go and blitz up the middle, blitz on the sides. And I think the Jets are going to have problems defending and protecting Zach Wilson.
Well, we'll see how that works out, but, it's really going to depend. Yes, they're going to be scheming and trying to do everything you just said, but the Jets coaching staff knows that. And they're obviously going to try and game plan to counter stuff like that. Well, I would assume so. That's what they're getting paid to do.
Well, you get paid. There's a lot of coaches in this league, a.k.a. Josh McDaniels, that's getting paid a lot of money, and for some reason doesn't understand how to read schemes, because this past week got dominated against the Bears. So
that's true. That's true. I can't argue that. But Josh McDaniels, everywhere he's gone, has been a really bad head coach. And he keeps getting chances, because he went and he coached Tom Brady, who did really well, and then he got another chance. And that I'll never understand why he keeps getting chances, but beyond me on that one. I think I'm not as worried about Zach Wilson as you are. Like you said, you mentioned and you questioned their corners a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of the Giants corners can really match up against Garrett Wilson. And I think that's going to show, and I think Garrett Wilson's going to have a big day on Sunday.
Well, that has a lot to do with Zach Wilson making the passes, and that's something I don't trust.
Well, he's been better on the medium to longer throws than he is on the short.
I'm telling you, they're going to throw every single
He is statistically better at the medium and longer throws than he is at the shorter throws.
Lyle, they're going to throw every single blitz package. Wink Martindale is going to throw everything and the kitchen sink at Zach Wilson this coming week. I believe he's going to make stupid mistakes. He always does. He runs backwards, and he doesn't know where he's going. And this week off doesn't help Zach Wilson, because this gave them time. And honestly, it gives him rest, because I know Robert Saleh, he probably said, guys, take time off. We had back-to-back wins. We look really, really good. And the Jets are going to go into this game flat. I'm telling you right now, the starting of this game is not going to be what you expect it to be. I'm telling you right now.
Well, the New York Jets in the last 10 years are 1-9 coming out of the bye week.
That's not good.
That's not good. And let's hope that changes. If you're a Jet fan, if you're a Giant fan, hopefully it doesn't. But I think this is going to matter a lot more on if Sauce and Reed are healthy. I think it's going to be very difficult.
Do you really think that because the corners are healthy or not healthy? Look, listen, the Jets knocked off the Philadelphia Eagles without.
No, you're right about that. But I think the chances of them having magic in a bottle 2 weeks in a row or 2 games in a row is really slim to none.
Let me ask you a question, Lyle. Where are the Jets ranked at stopping tight ends in the league right now?
Not high.
They're like ranked 17 or 18 in the league stopping tight ends. Where are they ranked stopping good running backs?
Definitely at the lower end.
They're not. They're having problems stopping the run. And usually it's better in the second half. That for some reason they turn a switch on or something like that, and then they start stopping the run in the second half. But in the first half, the Jets are not a good team at stopping the run, and this has been a big problem for them this year. They have to come off strong. They need this game. They need to win this game to go up 4-3, 4-3 right now, because right now Buffalo isn't playing good, and Miami just came off a loss against Philadelphia. So, and the Jets match up against Miami in a couple of weeks, and they're going to be playing pretty close together, home and home against Miami, very, very close with one another in the next couple of weeks. So the Jets need to win this game against the Giants. They lose this game against the Giants, this puts them on the back burner, because now that the Patriots beat the Buffalo Bills, they're starting to get some wins in. And if they can get some wins in, and Mac Jones looked better than he ever looked this past week. So if Mac Jones could put 2 or 3 games together before they play the Jets again, the Jets are going to be in trouble. It's not that I'm not a Jet.
They don't play them until the last week of the season.
It doesn't matter.
You have to put a lot together to really
because I think the Patriots' schedule gets easier, and I think
I don't disagree with you, but I think in order for them to be to scare the Jets in the standings and to really challenge, they are, and them playing in the last week, they're really gonna have to do it every week in a row and be on top of their game. And I don't think Mac Jones and the offense is gonna be able to do that.
Let's get into our preview for the New York Knicks as they start their season in the next 2 days on the 25th against of course, the Boston Celtics, the dominant force. And I say dominant force because the Boston Celtics are so much better than the opposition this year. I think the additions of Kristaps Porzingis, and then obviously a guy like Drew Holiday, they're in a really good position with the talent that they have. They have Jaylen Brown and then Jason Tatum. They have the best 5 right now in the league, especially not in the league, but in the Eastern Conference. Nobody has a better 5, and maybe the best 5 in the league. Dominant 4. They have Drew Holiday, who's one of the best defensive guards in the league, and then they gave themselves a Kristaps Porzingis who can block, he could defend, and he could shoot. He's a good perimeter shooter. He can hit the 3-pointers. So they gave themselves another shooter on the perimeter. And then they have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, 2 guys that could play defense too, play two-way basketball. So this is going to be a very good defensive team and a very good offensive team. And their bench is pretty good too. So going into this game as a first game of the season, I think it might benefit the Knicks. It might, because Boston's trying to figure themselves out, and going into the season, they have not played together enough. But as the season progressively moves forward, you would have to worry for the New York Knicks, because they don't have dominant players. They have some good players. I mean, Julius Randle, if he's not a bricklayer, he's pretty good. Josh Hart is a good defender off the bench. Quentin Grimes could become a star, but we don't know. Emmanuel Quickly's on the last year of his contract. They're going to have to extend him after this year. So the Knicks
there's breaking news regarding Emmanuel Quickly. They did not extend him by the deadline today, and he will be an RFA at the end of the season.
So he is a restricted free agent at the end of the year. So you know what that means? Teams can bid for him, and they can get him. So to me, the Knicks put himself in a really bad position, because he's probably going to go somewhere else in the offseason.
And Jaden McDaniels has agreed to a 5-year, $136 million extension, which is probably going to help out Quickly.
Who signed a $145 million contract?
$136 million 5-year, Jaden McDaniels.
On the Knicks?
On Minnesota.
Well, I'm not talking about Minnesota.
Yes, but Emmanuel Quickly is probably going to benefit him and get him a big more money. He's probably going to want more money.
Emmanuel Quickly is a second point guard. He's not a first point guard, and they're not going to pay him $136 million. Emmanuel Quickly is
no, I'm not saying that, but
he's going to make. If the Knicks want to pay him, he's going to make between 90 and 100. That's what he's going to get as a backup point guard on this team. And he might think that he can get more as a starting point guard somewhere else. And he could go somewhere else. If Phoenix decides to part ways with one of these guys, or they can move one of these guys if they don't start the season strong, there are other teams that are going to be looking for starting point guard. So he can make a bank in the offseason. He might not be with the Knicks next year. The Knicks made a big mistake, because they should have extended him. Now he's a restricted free agent. He can go wherever he wants. So that doesn't benefit the Knicks. And again, going into the offseason, maybe the Knicks are looking to make a move at the trade deadline to add another big-time player, Karl Anthony Towns, Joel Embiid. Maybe they get him, and maybe they didn't want to extend Emmanuel Quickly because they thought they could fit one of these guys in on this roster. And that's what I think the Knicks are thinking about, because if they give Emmanuel Quickly that kind of money, $100 million, they might not be able to get a Joel Embiid or a Karl Anthony Towns, or maybe even the Greek Freak if he obviously opts out of his contract. They gave Jalen Brunson. They have a really good contract with Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett. Quentin Grimes is still on his rookie contract. They don't have to pay him. And they added Dante Vincenzo. I think Dante Vincenzo could be a very big piece for the Knicks because he could shoot the three. One, he can rebound, and he's a good defender. He can defend multiple positions. So obviously a Tom Thibodeau type of player, they need that guy that could play, that could do that multiple eyes when it comes to defense and offense and transition. So I like the Dante DiVincenzo move, especially he didn't have to pay him a lot of money. But again, is he the missing piece that's going to get him over the hump? Last year, they lose in the second round against a Miami Heat team that just had G League players outplaying the Knicks. And what really hurt him was Robinson. Robinson got hurt against the Cleveland Cavaliers. He played so well against the Cleveland Cavaliers, dominating the boards, and everybody thought Cleveland was going to out-rebound him in that series. No, because of Mitchell Robinson. He got hurt in the final game, which got him into the second round, and Mitchell Robinson wasn't the same player against, obviously, the Miami Heat. And now he was extended last year to a 4-year deal. Julius Randle is still has another year left. Now, the Knicks could move on with Julius Randle at the trade deadline if they can get something for him. And if he has another start of the season the way he played last year, they might be able to move him in a big trade if he's the piece, one of those pieces that can bring in a big player like Joel Embiid or Karl Anthony Towns. But again, the Knicks are put in a position where they have the depth, but I don't know if they have the star power to get over the hump. The Celtics have the star power. Joel Embiid is still a bigger star than any one of the Knicks have, any player the Knicks have. And then you have the Greek Freak and Damian Lillard now with the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, Damian Lillard is only going to play 1 year with the Milwaukee Bucks unless they win a championship. And then he's probably going to go to Miami, as Miami was crying that he went and he was obviously traded to Milwaukee because Miami thought they had him, but they didn't give him. They didn't offer Milwaukee. They didn't offer the Portland Trailblazers enough to land a Damian Lillard, and they thought they were just going to squeeze. Pat Riley thought they were just going to steal him because that's where he wanted to go. It didn't work out. He goes to Milwaukee, and now the Greek Freak has 1 more year before he can opt out of his contract. And if they don't win this year,
he got extended today.
He's going to opt out of the contract.
He got extended today.
Who did?
Greek Freak.
Giannis?
Yeah.
Giannis got extended?
Yeah, 3-year contract.
Today? What was the contract?
3 years, $186 million extension.
So Giannis is going nowhere. But again, Damian Lillard, if they don't win this year, which they're probably not. See, I don't know. I wasn't looking at the NBA and obviously all these signings today. But if Giannis is staying there, that doesn't mean Damian Lillard's staying there. He has 1 more year left on his contract. He's making a significant.
They're going all in for it right now.
They're going, but they have no bench. No. They have nothing on the bench. Milwaukee is practically a starting 5 and a bunch of crap on the bench. You see, that's the difference between the Celtics, and that's even the difference between Cleveland and the Knicks. Even Philadelphia has a better bench right now than Milwaukee. They're really strapped with the 5 guys that they have starting. Chris Middleton is under contract. Damian Lillard has 1 year left on his 1 year on his contract. They should have kept Drew Holiday, honestly, because Drew Holiday was still under contract for another year, and they would have had control of Drew Holiday. I didn't like this move because of the fact that Damian Lillard could pick up and leave at the end of the season.
So where do you think the Knicks could end up finishing? I don't think they're going to win division. That's definitely going to be the Celtics.
Well, we don't know how healthy the Celtics are going to be this year. So
no, we don't. But if we're looking at it on paper,
talent-wise, I would think the Celtics are the most talented.
Yes, I think that the Knicks, barring injuries, of course, could finish 5th in the East.
They finished 5th last year.
I think they're about the same. Because if they might be able to finish 3rd or 4th.
No, they won't.
They won't. No, but
because I think, and I'll say this again: Cleveland's still good. And I think they're going to be even better this year because Donovan Mitchell's there now 2 years, and I think Donovan Mitchell will not go into another new. Especially Donovan Mitchell wants to be a Knick. He's not going to want to lose against the Knicks again if they meet in the playoffs. And I think the Knicks will be a playoff team. I think they will definitely make the playoffs because I think their roster is good. Now, here's the problem. I didn't think Josh Hart or Jalen Brunson played well for the World Championship, the United States team. I thought they both played like crap. Okay. And I hope going into the season, they don't start off that bad. Okay. Because the Knicks are going to need Jalen Brunson to be at the top of his game like he was last year, where he should have been an all-star. He averaged almost 24 points a game. That guy was an all-star. He was one of the best point guards in the league. It was shame on the NBA for not, and the fans not voting him in. But again, going into this season, is Jalen Brunson going to have the same season or even a better season from last year? Usually, you don't see that from a guy that's never done it back-to-back years. So we have to see him do it back-to-back years before we trust Jalen Brunson is going to be able to do that.
So we're both in agreement about fifth. Fifth?
I think the Knicks are a 6 or 5th, maybe even 7th. I think they're between 7, 6, or 5. That's where I think the Knicks are going to land this year. I don't know if they're going to have the same amount of wins. We'll have to see how this works out with DiVincenzo, if he fits that offense. DiVincenzo could be a steal, just like Jalen Brunson was. You bring him in from Golden State, he averaged about 8 points a game and 7 rebounds, 6 rebounds. He could double his points to 15, 16 a game, and he gives you about 8 or 9 rebounds a game, and he can play multiple defensive positions, then he was worth every bit what the Knicks gave him in the offseason. And he was an affordable contract. They gave him $70 million for 3 or 4 years. I think he was very affordable. The Knicks contracts, I have to say this about Leon Rose. The Knicks contracts are superb. Okay. They did the right thing. They definitely mixed it up and did it right when it came to the contracts. Robinson, 4 years, affordable contract. RJ Barrett, 4 years, affordable contract. Jalen Brunson, 4 years, affordable contract. The only contracts that were bad was Fournier, which they're trying to move him. They tried to move him in the offseason. Nobody wants him. And Julius Randle, which they have 2 more years left on a contract. And maybe if he has a good year this year, they can move him they can move him at the trade deadline, and he only has 1 year left on the contract. So there's a lot of questions with the Knicks with certain players, but all these young players that they have, they're under contract and they're good contracts. I think the Toppin move didn't make any sense. I think the Knicks got nothing for Obi Toppin. They did bring his brother in, but I don't know what his brother is. I mean, he's more defensive player than he is an offensive player in Jacob Toppin. And I don't know why they brought him in if Thibodeau wasn't getting along with Obi. So it didn't make any sense why they did that. But I think Miles McBride will be added a little bit more into this offense and this defense. I think he's played very well. I think that the difference to what the Knicks are from this year, from last year, I think they have a lot of these youngsters that are more veteran players. Quigley is going into, I think, his fourth year, 5th year. All of these guys. Miles McBride's been in the league for about 2 or 3 years. So Grimes has been in for about 2 or 3 years. All these guys are starting to figure themselves out as NBA players. So that might benefit the Knicks. But I still think this roster there's a lot of questions to this roster. And is this roster good enough? That's the question.
Well, that's why they play the games. Well, moving on to the Brooklyn Nets.
Mm-hmm.
Bit of a different preview than they would have had last year. A couple big pieces not there. But
big pieces. I mean, what's big? Ben Simmons, who barely plays? I mean,
compared to last year where they had Kevin Durant.
Well, their roster was better last year. This
Yes,
year, I think. Now, they obviously played better. They played pretty well when Kevin Durant was traded, and so was Kyrie Irving. I think they played a lot better than I thought they were. But I look at this roster, and do I trust this roster? I think Whitehead will be used more in the offense this year. I expect him. He's a youngster, a guy that a lot of people liked, obviously, in the past draft. I think there's a lot of questions with some of these rosters. Mikal Bridges, he played the best for Team USA at the World Championships. He's a really nice player. He really is. And he's another Villanova guy. And some people believe that the Knicks would love to bring him in, but the Nets would never trade Mikal Bridges to the Knicks. So I think Mikal Bridges could have a very good season this year, but they have a lot of old Knicks. Dennis Smith Jr., he's an old Knick. I mean, they bring in all these guys, and I just think that this roster is so plain. Spencer Dinwiddie, if he could stay healthy, he's still a leader of this team, and I think he can give you that type of offense for a point guard. But there's just so many questions. Nick Claxton had a good year last year as a youngster.
Yes, he did.
But are you going to trust that Claxton could have another good year like that? I don't know. So there's a lot of questions.
There is a lot of questions. I think the biggest question for the Brooklyn Nets is how much is Ben Simmons going to play? In the preseason he was playing roughly 25 to just under 30 minutes a game. If he can play that on a nightly basis, I think they could sneak into a play-in round, maybe the 10th seed, maybe the 9th. But I think, like you said, there isn't really anything that stands out. They have to play a very good team game, which in the NBA, that's not going to win you anything. It's not going to win you. It's definitely a star league. I think that the ceiling for them is sneaking into a play-in round.
I listen, I think the Knicks are making the playoffs.
Oh, 100%.
I think their roster is decent enough to make the playoffs as long as Jalen Brunson has the kind of season he had last year. I don't know if he will, but if he puts up 22 and he gives you, about 8 or 7 assists and does what Jalen Brunson has done since he's been a Knick, then the Knicks will be fine. I just don't know if they're going to compete against these better teams. I mean, the Celtics are a better team now this year with a better roster. I think the 76ers are, even though they don't know what they're doing with James Harden, what's going on with James Harden, they're still a good roster, and the Knicks don't have a player like Joel Embiid. I'm sorry, they don't. Joel Embiid is that good of a player. So there's just a lot of questions with the situation that the Knicks are in and the Brooklyn Nets.
I think it's going to be a very interesting year for the NBA in New York. Both teams have a lot of questions, and you're going to have to see how they play out. But like I said about the Knicks, that's why they play the games.
And let's get into the Islanders, because the Islanders, they looked really, really good for the first 2 games of the season. They squeaked in a point against the Devils. Sorokin made an unbelievable save. I think he'll be up for save of the season. I mean, early in the season, we'll see a lot of great saves, but that was a sensational save against Jack Hughes. But they came up short in overtime. Jack Hughes scored the game-winning goal. I don't know what Pulak was doing. I'm going to question what Pulak was doing, standing there while Jack Hughes was just moving the puck around and picked the corner. Yeah, he picked the corner on Sorokin. I mean, you give a goal scorer that much time, they're gonna put it right behind the goalie. It doesn't matter how good the goalie is. So that didn't look good. And then the game after that against Buffalo on Saturday night, it
looked exhausted.
Looked
exhausted against Buffalo. You're going to love me for questioning this one, but Lane Lambert came out after the game, and said that he put in Oliver Wahlstrom and Goussier because he wanted fresh bodies. But he took out a 22-year-old and Fashing, who's about, I think he's like 26, 27, for Wahlstrom and Goussier, and they kept in Clutterbuck, and they kept in Martin. That does not make sense to me. If you want to put in fresh bodies that are fast, that are able to go on a back-to-back, wouldn't you want your younger guys out there over probably your 2 oldest forwards? That is I think does not make sense, because on a back-to-back, when you are dead tired, Clutterbuck and Martin are not going to do shit. That decision did not make sense to me. I thought the Devils game was a definition of an early season game. Both teams looked very, very sloppy. The ice looked absolutely shitty and terrible. The puck was bouncing around all night. Guys were falling over all night. It was not a clean game of hockey, and it was not fun to watch. The Devils, I don't think they played great. I think the Islanders played anything decent. They could have won that game. The penalty kill definitely missed Scott Mayfield. He's on their first team for penalty kill for a reason. Then, when you had 4 penalties taken, 4 of them, 2 each by Pelech and Casey Cizikas, that is not a good combination when you're having your top PK guys not out there. That really hurt them. And your top PK guys need to be the most disciplined guys on the team, because when they take penalties, that can really hurt your PK. And I did not like how they played. I think Pelech took 2 very preventable penalties, and Cizikas did too.
I think the Islanders need to figure out what's going on with Matthew Barzal. Okay, Matthew Barzal is too talented, and his 1 goal and 2 assists. in 4 games. He should be doing more. Bo Horvat already has 2 goals. He's figuring out how to put the puck in the net. And I think Horvat, as the season progressively moves forward, I think he's going to give you 30 goals. I don't know if Matthew Barzal is going to do that. He has never done it. And that's a big problem. I mean, he's got a tremendous amount of talent. He can move the puck. He can pass. He could shoot. What is he doing? I don't understand why he's sitting there and he's thinking. He's got tremendous speed and tremendous ability, athletic ability. He's more talented than most guys on the ice. Why isn't he putting the puck in the net? Why isn't he shooting at the net? This has been a big problem for him since he was drafted. And they depend on him to find the net. And that's a big problem. Brock Nelson's line has been the best line. And I don't even think it's that good of a line.
I think it's been great.
It has been, but it's not a good line. It's not.
It's not about the line. It's about how they play together.
But you sit here today and you look at Kyle Palmieri. Is Kyle Palmieri that good of a player anymore? He's not. Okay. And then you have obviously Brock Nelson. He's the best player on that line. He's been very, very good. He's been the Islanders' leading scorer for the last 2 seasons. And then
but
obviously
you can't just take 3 guys. Like you're looking at it like it's a video game. Like, okay, I'm going to take these 3 good players, put them on a line, and that's going to make a great line. It's about chemistry. And
sell that to Edmonton, because Edmonton's been doing it for a long, long time. And that's
different.
helpful.
When you have Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, the top 2 players in the league, you can put anybody with them.
Again, they're putting the best players on one line, and a lot of teams do that.
Boston, no, they're actually
the Rangers are doing that right now with Zibanejad and Panarin. They've done that. I mean, every single team puts their top 3 players, their top offensive players on that top line, if it makes sense. Every team does it. Every team does it.
And Edmonton doesn't do that. It's Connor McDavid on line 1 and then Draisaitl on line 2.
Yes, but they move. They play on. They kind of mix it around all the time. And when they're on the power play,
they play on the power play. That's different.
That's different. And they score more power play goals than mostly any team in the NHL. Why? Because those 2 guys are on the ice. So
that's different. That's a power play.
And in the playoffs, Draisaitl and McDavid play together. Every single time they play in the playoffs, they play together. Last year they did it. The year before they did it. They always put the best players on the same friggin' line. And I look at the Islanders. Matthew Barzal and Bo Horvat are their best offensive options, is it not? And if it isn't, if they think that they could be better with Brock Nelson on that first line, put Brock Nelson as your center, put Bo Horvat on your right side.
They're 2 different players, Barzal and Nelson. Nelson's a goal scorer. Barzal is the guy who's going to make.
He's a passer. He's a passer. So if you put a goal scorer in a passer,
like if Barzal scores 20 to 25 goals, I'm perfectly fine with that.
I'm not. You're paying him
more
money.
It's about making other guys better.
How much is Barzal making right now?
If he has 20 to 25 goals, but then had 70 assists, are you going to be upset?
Yes, because he doesn't get 70 assists.
But here's the thing: you put him with Bo Horvat, he could get 60 assists. Maybe not 60.
If you don't see the problem of the Islanders right now, it's the Sabres.
That's realistic. Maybe 40 assists. 40.
If you don't see the problem right now with the, because look, if you watch the game, which I know you did, Varlamov had a great game. He gave up 3 goals, he had 43 saves. He played out of his mind, but everybody else played like crap. They couldn't do anything against Buffalo. And by the way, that was their first game away this year. And if they look as
back-to-back.
If they lose that game, I'm sorry?
It was on a back-to-back.
It doesn't matter. That was that's their first.
They played the night before and then flew to Buffalo.
Okay, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter. They did not look good away. They did not look good.
They looked bad. They looked very tired.
I don't think they looked tired. I think they were skating pretty well.
Tired.
Did
you watch the game?
Yeah, I watched the game. I did watch the game. And if first of all, the Islanders had 25 shots. Right? They had 25 shots on goal. For the Islanders, they average about 30. So they didn't look that tired. Okay. And they defensively played like garbage in the first 2 periods. All right. I think when you look at the Islanders and what the Islanders are made of, they're made of goaltending and defense. If they can't keep teams under 2, they're not going to win. They're not going to win because they're not going to do what they did against, obviously, New Jersey, and they're not going to be able to do what they did against Buffalo in game number 1 because they were at home.
I think if you watch that game on Saturday and didn't think they looked tired, then I don't think you're watching the same game that I was. They look extremely tired. They look like they were exhausted. And that's sometimes happens at the beginning of the season. sometimes once you get, it takes it a little bit to get into a rhythm before you can go into those back-to-backs. On the Barry Trotz, they did very well in back-to-backs. Even last year, they did very well in the second half of the back-to-back. But I'm not concerned about back-to-backs and even playing on the road for a long time. Like, I'm not going to worry about that for a while. I thought the Islanders played average against the Devils, but I thought both teams played very sloppy, and they played bad against Buffalo, but they looked very tired. They looked extremely tired.
Is that your excuse? They look tired? That's not an excuse. It's early in the season. We're 4 games in. They're tired.
On the
You're
second
tired
half
after
of
4
back-to-back,
games?
that happens.
Come on.
On the second half of back-to-back,
Come on, man.
flying away.
Listen, there are teams that do it every single year, and they play very well on back-to-back games. The Islanders gained a point against the Devils, and then they go and laid up a lousy goose egg. They didn't even show up to that game. They might as well have just said, you know what, guys, we'll forfeit. We're not even going to play. And that's what they look like. They looked horrible, okay? And I'm telling you right now, Lane Lambert, he's a terrible coach because going into the second quarter, a second period, you would think that he said, okay, we got to transition. We got to do something. We need to cycle. We didn't do that. And you have all these guys. You have Clutterbuck and Matty Martin and Cizikas. You have all these rough guys that like to hit. Where's the hitting? Where is the hitting? They don't do enough of it so far in 4 games. They're not doing enough. They're a rough team. And losing Johnston to Anaheim absolutely hurts the Islanders.
No, it doesn't. He sucks.
Yeah, but he's a rough guy that throws his body around, and teams were afraid of him. And you have him on the ice. He's a guy that you have to account for.
He averaged like 5 minutes a game when he played.
It doesn't matter. He was the guy that would go on the ice and force a beating. That's what he would do.
He didn't do anything when he ever played. It was saying that they miss him. I'm sorry, but that's kind of not true. They don't miss anything about him. Maybe in the locker room because that's all he was ever. Anytime he saw the team, was in the locker room between periods. But he's not a good player. He should be in the ECHL. They don't miss him. That is a terrible take. The team.
A terrible take.
That is a horrible take.
All right. Let's look at where the Islanders were last year as far as hitting and throwing their body. Because if we look at the last 2 games, they're not.
He didn't play. Him being is not going to be a factor.
Yes, he is, because you have to account him on the ice if he throws a body.
But he was never on the ice.
Listen, it bothered the Islanders losing him to Anaheim. And if you don't think it did, why was every single Islander fan complaining about it, that the Islanders made a mistake? Okay? So
nobody who knows anything about this team really thought that they made a mistake waiving him.
Oh, yeah? No,
he played 16 games left.
So giving Pierre Engvall the money that they gave him, that was okay? Because I'll tell you this right now, Lou made a big mistake. Lou made a big mistake.
I think I would rather keep Pierre Engvall for that contract than keep Ross Johnson.
You're out of your mind.
Absolutely not.
Pierre Engvall is so overrated. He's a terrible player. And what is he going to give you this year? Right now, I'm sorry. He has 2 assists on the Brock Nelson line. 2 assists.
Okay.
Great. In 4 games, you gave him
2 points in 4 games.
7-year extension. You gave him a 7-year extension.
He's getting 3.5 average annual value.
I don't give a crap. He stinks. You're not going to.
I don't think you understand how contracts work in the NHL.
I understand. Giving him a 7-year extension.
You're saying a 7-year contract.
Why don't they have money? Lyle, why don't they have money? Why don't they have money right now? You were complaining about it. They could have had Alex DeBrincat. They could have had him.
Never could have had him.
They could have. Yes, they could.
Never could have had him.
If they put more eggs in their basket, they could have had him.
Never were able to clear the cap space
I disagree.
For him, and then be able to replace Scott Mayfield having to leave, then having to replace another forward that was going to be leaving, because they wouldn't have been able to re-sign Wallstrom, wouldn't have been able to re-sign
Wallstrom. They're not bringing back after next year.
Wallstrom definitely not. He sucks. They're not going to be.
He sucks because they couldn't develop him. They couldn't develop him. He was a good player coming out of the draft. The Islanders screwed up on him. He stinks now because of the Islanders.
Never, ever did anything the coaches could tell him. The coaches tried to teach him all the basics on how to play. He has a great shot, but he never learned how to use it. There's a reason why, when you look at how Barry Trotz coached him, there was a reason why he did that, is because he takes games off, he takes shifts off, and he does not come to games mentally prepared. He has times when he looks great, and then the next few shifts he'll be invisible, and he's just not good. He's not able to mentally play in the NHL. And if you want to talk about that Engvall contract,
No, I don't. I
well,
want to get into
I'll
the
break it
Rangers.
down. Well, it's $3.5 million AAV, and with the contract the cap going up every year, it's not gonna be a big hit on the cap space in 3 years.
Listen,
It's
I'm
not.
looking at Lou Lamoriello's an idiot. Okay, everything that he has done so far in the last 2 years is idiocy. Okay, he should not be the GM of this team anymore. He is a stupid. I went to him. I saw him at an event, and I walked up to him. I talked to him about Sorokin and Engvall and all this other stuff and everything like that. And you know what he had said? Well, we're going to do what we can, and we're going to try to fit this in and fit that. He wouldn't say anything. You know why? Because he has nothing to say. Because honestly, if somebody calls him out on any bull crap that comes out of his mouth, he'll never talk to you again. Because that's the person that he is. He's a stubborn
wouldn't tell
old
you anything anyway.
man. He's a stubborn old man.
He wouldn't tell you anything, no matter what. Like he's
a stubborn old man. That's why he's stubborn. He hasn't done anything right. He really hasn't. This offseason, he can't land the big goal scorer. Let's be honest. We heard he was interested in Tarasenko. Did he get Tarasenko? No, he goes to Ottawa 1 year because then he can go back to the Rangers the year after when they have money. This is what Lou does. He makes mistakes. He goes after.
How is that on Lou Lamoriello? We don't
because
know
Lou could have brought in Vladimir Tarasenko.
We don't know what he would have signed. What he offered him. He could have offered him.
Look
what
what Ottawa signed him to. What did they give him? $4-5 million?
But
they gave him nothing.
It's a two-way street.
Oh, stop it, Lyle.
You can offer whatever you want to a player or a team. If they don't want to accept that, you could make the better offer. We could have made a better offer than that. And he could have said, you know what? I would rather play in Ottawa and then have a chance to get traded to a better team at the trade deadline. You don't know what is offered behind closed doors. We offered more money for Panarin than the Rangers. Hey, he would rather have gone to the Rangers. Nothing you could do about that.
You speak about Panarin, but Panarin is putting up numbers, baby.
He is. But
he's putting up numbers right now. He's in 5 games, 3 goals and 4 assists and 7 points. That's what you want for a Matthew Barzal. That's what you want with a Bo Horvat. You're paying him that kind of money. Bo Horvat got almost $9 million. Is Bo Horvat putting up those numbers? No, he's not. And that's a big problem. And I like what I see with the Rangers. I do and I'm an Islander guy, and I'm an Islander fan. But
I don't think they've been playing well to start the year.
What? I'm sorry? I think you have. Did you see what they did against the Krakens?
Did you see what they did the 2 games before that?
I'm sorry?
Did you see what they did the few games before that?
Yeah. Right now, the Rangers are 3-2, and I think they're only going to get better. They're only going to get better. And they're
They
big
need to fix
players.
their defense. They really need to fix their defense.
Good luck. They're not going to have to do that because what they're going to do is they use their offensive players as defensive players, and they're figuring it out. I think they're going to be a good defensive team as they move forward because I think Peter Laviolette, that's what he trains, that's what he teaches. And I think the youngsters have looked pretty good. I really do. I mean, Alexis Lafreniere, he's looked good. I think he's looked a lot better.
That Kraken game, they scored 5 goals in 3 games. That is bad. That's not good. When you are letting up 5 goals against the Blue Jackets,
you're hating on the Rangers.
No, I said the last few weeks we had to show that I thought they were a better team than the Islanders. If you go back and listen, I said that. I'm looking at what they produced, and they did not play well these games before the Kraken game. That was a better showing. But you look at what they did against the Predators, what they did against the Blue Jackets. Arizona, they should have played them way better. I want
you to read this article by Vincent Mercoliano, okay? Mercoliano. He wrote Analytics Meet Eye Test evaluating the New York Rangers lines through the 5 games. Okay. I want you to read.
Through the 5 games.
I want you to read that article. Because to me, the Rangers are playing good hockey right now. They are. And to me, I know you're looking at it and say, oh, they're 3-2. It's early. And
I'm looking at it as they're 3-2. I'm looking at the games that they've lost and how they have lost. When you are letting up 4 goals to the Predators, 5 goals to the Blue Jackets, that's not good. Defensively, they need to be better.
Blue Jackets have offensive players. They're a good offense. They have a good offensive talent. I'm sorry?
He had 21 shots defensively. You cannot give them those opportunities in 21 shots.
I
Look at
know,
the
and that's
Holiday-
why. And Jonathan Quick is playing good. Shesterkin is not playing well, and that's why Jonathan Quick played this past week against the Krakens, because Igor Shesterkin has not played well. So they have a good backup goalie that can take over. Who, by the way, won over 340 something wins. He's won
He's
3
not
Stanley
good at this
Cups.
point in his career. He's
I'm
a
sorry?
goalie that Jonathan Quick is not a good goalie at this point in his
Well,
career.
why? First of all, he has been a good goalie, and just because he hasn't looked good for the last 2 years doesn't mean he can't find some,
You can't
some
say one game.
holy water and play well.
You know what? Sure. Could he take holy water and play well?
Yeah,
Of
why not?
course. But when you look at what he did the last few years, when he's having almost a 4 goals against
Last
average,
few years.
yes, he's not going to miraculously become young again. Now, could it be that he's?
I see goaltenders do that.
100% is it possible, but he is 37 years old. The chances of it
He
happening
won 3 Stanley Cups.
when he was
He won
younger.
a Conn Smythe.
I'm not going to sit here. I'm going to sit here and say, when I look at what he has been and what he has been doing for me the last few years, I'm not going to say, oh, after one game of him playing well against a team that hasn't been playing
One
well.
game, he came in for Shesterkin after that and played very well in the third period.
He had 9 shots. I'm not going to.
Doesn't matter. He still looked good.
I'm not going to judge you on 9 shots when you come in off the bench. I want to know what you are continually doing. And you know what? If they play him for a string of games because he's playing better and he proves that me wrong, I will be the first one to sit here and say I'm wrong. But when you look at what he has been doing, I'm not going to take one game and automatically say, oh, he's a good backup. Because statistically, he has not been a good goalie for the last few years.
Statistically, but statistics don't rest what you're doing every single year. And what I've seen,
You're right about that. Yes,
I've seen goaltenders. They have they go to another team. And by the way, he grew up a Ranger fan. He's from the Connecticut area. And he might rejuvenate his career by coming to the New York Rangers and helping the Rangers win a Stanley or go to a Stanley Cup this year. A lot of people believe that the Rangers have enough talent there to make a run. Now, the question is,
make a run. Yeah, they do definitely have enough talent. But they won't be doing it on the back of Jonathan Quick. They'll be doing it on the back of Igor Shesterkin. Jonathan Quick
has won 3 Stanley Cups. What has Igor done? Has he won a Stanley Cup? Has he ever gone to a Stanley Cup?
No, to all of them.
Okay. I'm going to trust the guy. Now, I'm not
saying like me saying, oh, we should go sign Marty Brodeur and have him play.
Why? Marty Brodeur is like 80 years old.
But here's the thing. We should say, I'm just using him as an example. We should sign Marty Brodeur because, you know what? He won all those Stanley Cups when he played. So he could still do that and usually get the brag about him. But see, but here's the thing. Like you said, he's almost 80 years old. He's old as shit. He can't play anymore. Same thing with Quick. He is not good at this point of his career.
How do you know? He's looked pretty damn good in the 2 games that we've seen him. So how could you say that he can't rejuvenate his career playing for the Rangers?
Listen,
and I'm not saying that Igor's not going to be the guy. But what happens if Igor gets hurt and Jonathan Quick takes over and he proves himself? What are you going to say then?
Screwed. If they have to continually start him, that team is screwed.
I don't believe that. I think Jonathan Quick, he wanted to come to the Rangers. I think he's rejuvenated. I think there's something about this, and you're going to see this year. He's going to be one of the best backup goalies in the league.
From the last 3 years?
I'm sorry? I don't care what he's done in the last 3 years.
But that's what he's showing. You have a bigger sample size.
We've seen other goalies go somewhere else and do better.
It's not going to happen. When you have a 3.5 goals against average,
Lyle,
900 save percentage, you're not going to do well.
Lyle, let me ask you a question. Okay, and this is to me, and I've seen this before. John Van Beesbrook, okay, he left the Rangers at what age?
I don't even think I was born when he left the Rangers.
Yes, you weren't. Okay, John Van Beesbrook, when he went into the expansion draft, he was like 33. Okay, 33, 34. He went to the expansion draft. I think it was 33, 32 or 33. All right. He went to the expansion draft. He played for Florida for 4 years, took him to a Stanley Cup. Then he went to Philadelphia, and he took him into the playoffs. And then he went to the Islanders, if you remember. He was there for 1.5 years, and then he finished his career with the Jersey.
He was only there for not even half a year.
Whatever. He was there for
44 games.
Whatever. He was there for a year. And then he went to the Devils, and he finished his career. If you look at his career, when he went to Florida, it rejuvenated his career. It completely changed everything.
But he was 30.
Okay. Again, he was in his 30s. It's still he still jumped from one thing to another. And by the way,
the difference when you're 30 compared to
Lyle, you can
37.
look at statistics and anything you want. How about this? I'll make you a bet, Lyle.
Sure.
I'll make you a bet. All
Sure.
right. Jonathan Quick is one of the top 3 backup goalies in the league this year. You want to make a bet?
What's the bet regarding?
Anything you want. I'll take you out to dinner. Okay. Jonathan Quick is one of the best backup goalies in the NHL this year. Goals against, save percentage, not even wins and losses, because who cares? Goals against and save percentage. I bet you.
Whoa. Wins and losses count.
No, it doesn't. Wins and losses,
100%.
that don't mean anything. Wins, it's goals against and save percentage. That's what it is. That's
Okay.
what people look at. That's what people look at when it comes to winning Vezina Trophy. That's what they look at. So let's do it.
They also do look at wins for that.
I disagree, because if that was the case, I could point out goalies that shouldn't have won the shouldn't have won the Vezina Trophy. All right. So
Ullmark shouldn't have won it last year.
I'm sorry.
Ullmark should not have won it last year.
No, Sorokin should have won, and
Yes,
he didn't have more wins than Ullmark. So
I think Ullmark did have more wins.
Yeah, I said that. He had more wins than Sorokin, but the reason why Sorokin didn't win, because Ullmark was on a record-breaking pace. Okay, that was the only reason why he didn't win.
He played less than half the games in the year. He played he played less than 50 games. He played more than I think he played 47 games. 48.
But he had record-breaking numbers. So I think that the Rangers
playing less than 50 games in the NHL, you should not be winning a Vezina. He played 49 games. That is the most in his career.
No, he won the Vezina Trophy, and good for him. I mean, Sorokin, he could do it again this year. I think he's quite capable of doing it. But the Islanders are going to have to play better in front of him, and I think the Rangers are going to have to play better on that side of the ice with their goaltending, because if they don't do it, they're going to have problems. I think Peter Laviolette has I think, the way he teaches his teams and how they cycle and how they play, the offensive players have to get into the mix, block shots. The Rangers have blocked more shots in the first 5 games than they have in a very long time. So I think that the Rangers are going to be better team defensively than they have been over the last couple of years. But that's it for our show, man. I mean,
we'll see. But so far, we have not seen that they have been against some bottom-feeding teams.
Well, that's it for our show, man. An hour. It was a good hour. We got into all the New York sports that we wanted to get into. We got into the Jets, the Giants. We got into the Knicks, the Nets, and the Islanders and the Rangers. And it's going to be a good week of hockey, beginning of basketball, and the Jets and the Giants on Sunday. So excited for that. Happy Halloween. Okay. Happy Halloween to you, my friends.
Thank you.
What are you getting? Are you dressing up for Halloween?
I have my mask on right now.
Oh, there you go. I mean, I don't, but hey.
You don't really?
No.
Oh no, you can put that white tank top on again. That was pretty scary.
Smart ass. Anyways, but thank you to all the fans. Keep listening to Cross Island Podcasts. And by the way, we'll be back next Monday at 7:00, giving you the best in New York sports for our Cross Island podcast. Lyle, you have anything to say before we go?
I do not. However, the website should be up and running soon. It is currently being worked on, so stay patient, everybody. Once that drops, we're going to have a lot more news coming up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next Monday at 7 p.m. Until then, this is the wonderful, wonderful, talented, yes, I say talented because I'm a little lost, but Cross Island Podcast, and we will talk to you next week. Good night, everybody.